Citrus has been placed in containers for well over 30 years, and there's many different types of containers that have been used over time. One of the things that's really important about a container is it can really enhance the root system of the tree itself. And there's some things it can do to actually hurt the root system. A kind of common container you'll find in your local garden center is what we call a 5-gallon squat pot. This particular tree was finished in this container, and you can see by the root system that there is a lot of circling roots down at the base of the tree. That's not what we'd want for a commercial tree. It works okay for a homeowner, but it's not for a commercial tree. So we don't recommend the use of a pot like this. Some other pots that have been around the citrus industry for a long time is a thing that we call at TreeSource called a grower pot. This is a tall pot that was designed originally for the ball and burlap business, where a tree was actually dug out of the field and dropped into this container. It does have some holes at the base where it can drain out, but it's just a round pot that is designed to carry a tree, and again, not really a good pot for growing a container-grown tree in. Back about 30 years ago, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Adams out of Florida invented a citrus pot that he called the Citrapot. These are manufactured by Stewie & Sons in Corvallis, Oregon. And this is a 4-inch container by 14 inches long and was used as a standard of pot culture in Florida for many years and is still used today. It's also used extensively in China and has been used a lot in California. This pot is a really good pot for citrus. Its fault is, though, is that it's only 4-inch square. So when you try to set it on the ground, it'll fall over all by itself. And so in order to make it work, you have to have some kind of a box to be able to carry them in. In this case, this is a dairy crate that's being used. This is a good system, but for a do-it-yourself nurseryman, it's not really that good because you have to buy the dairy crate or you have to find a benching system to support them. The other thing is that there isn't a lot of light for the tree's development, and so consequently the trees will be smaller caliper and more difficult to make a bigger tree. What we recommend for the do-it-yourself nurseryman is a container that is similar to the Citrapot, but it's larger. This is a 6-inch Citrapot that is again available through Stewie & Son in Oregon, and you can tell by the size and diameter that there's much larger, and that allows for good light for the tree growth and will allow your tree to grow and get bigger. The other thing, it does stand even on this uneven surface I'm on now. It still will stand up by itself, and if you put 2 or 3 wide, they'll hold together. So for a novice nurseryman, we recommend using this larger container that's available from Stewie & Son. Some of the other containers that you'll see is a container like this, which is again modeled off of this original pot made by Mr. Adams. And this is what we call a 9-inch. We don't recommend this one either because it doesn't give you really enough root system to let the tree get established, whereas this taller pot would. And of course, our bigger pot that we're recommending will give a really nice root system to get the tree established. You may have seen recently some new containers that have come on the market, and these containers are containers with windows in the side of the pot. This is what we call the Brazil pot, and these are available from TreeSource for the do-it-yourself nurseryman. The window in the side of the pot allows the root to go down the side of the pot, hit the window, and then it air prunes, which forces more branching inside of the pot system. This is probably one of the best pots for citrus root development. The disadvantage to this pot is that it is a little bit smaller than this 6-inch that we recommend. It's shorter, so again, the tree caliper won't be as big as on a larger pot, although it will work, and it is a 21st century pot. There is legs on this particular pot, so they can be set even on a relatively uneven surface, and they can be set side by side, and there's actually little clips holes in the top of the pot that allow you to clip the 2 pots together. So until we sell out of these pots, we have these available for that do-it-yourself nursery. Now you may be familiar in California, there's been different pots that have been used that are relatively inexpensive. This is what's called a tree bag, and the problem with this system is that you'll get circling roots at the bottom of the pot if the trees aren't planted early in its life. So it's not as good as one of these pot systems because the root systems are better on these. The advantage of these is typically they're cheaper, but one of the disadvantages is it's difficult to find them at any type of garden supply store. What's very common in California is what we call the 7-inch sleeve. And these are some examples of that. This is functionally just a tube, or that's why they call it a sleeve, where soil is put inside it and then it's set on the ground, and any roots that may want to circle don't circle because they go right into the soil. The difficulty with these guys is how you fill them. You have to have a special system to do it. This particular device right here, behind these containers, is designed to fill sleeves. You drop the sleeve inside the container, and then you put this little funnel on top of it. Of course, you do all 6 at a time. And then you get a shovel and you'd fill the top, and then you would pull these out and they would be full. All of this stuff is not something a do-it-yourself nurseryman would have access to, and so consequently we don't recommend its use because it's kind of difficult for what you're getting out of it. Again, we like the reusability of a regular pot. Now, the root system on this 6-inch pot that we recommend is quite nice. Here's a sample tree that we're using for that. The root system is nice and uniform up and down the whole body of the ball. The roots at the base of the tree are not circling. There's a very little concentration, and this is a fairly old tree, so you can tell that the pot itself manages the root system well. And that's why we recommend this, because again, for people who are new to the nursery business, you want the pot to be very friendly for its use. And the Lima pot is somewhat similar to the Brazilian pot, but it's the difficulty for a novice farmer to do is that the Lima pot requires a benching system to work properly. You can set them on the ground. It is designed to have legs on it, so these legs can allow you to set it on the ground if you were to do that. But truthfully, it's designed mainly to be set on the ground for temporary reasons, not for full-time growing, and so a benching system is typically required. This container is a lot like the Brazil pot. It has an open bottom to it that allows for air pruning of the roots. It also has air pruning windows in the side of the pot. So the root system on the Lima pot is one of the best that has ever been designed for citrus. But it is, again, not as friendly of a system to use for the novice nurseryman as is the 6-inch pot, which is why we recommend its use. I mentioned Stewie & Sons out of Corvallis, Oregon. This is their catalog, and inside the catalog is a listing of the different tree pots that I mentioned today, many of the ones that are here. The one that we recommend is the TP616, which is a 6-inch wide at the top pot with the stripes that go down that control the root system. Currently they're listed about between $90 and $1 a piece for purchase. And the reason why, again, this pot is the best pot is because it's big, which allows a lot of root system, a lot of tree caliper development. This is a good second choice pot, which is the Brazil pot, which we have in stock at TreeSource. But we do not recommend the smaller pots that are going to be making less root system and being harder to handle. You have to have benching or some kind of a box system. So either one of these two pots, the Brazil pot or the TP616, would be what we would recommend for a do-it-yourself nurseryman.